Imagine joining a school where every chick wants to be filled with so much of your DNA that it changes their ancestry. It can be possible if you're Lux Acadia from the undefeated Bahamut Chronicles, who drops a Kamehameha on an entire nation. As punishment, he is forced to attend an all-girls school where he must protect his V-card from getting swapped.
It all began 5 years ago when the Empire of Acadia was engulfed in the fires of war. The tyrannical regime of Acadia was about to finally come to an end, and it was all thanks to a lone drag knight whose identity remains a mystery to this date. However, to honor him, the people remembered him as the Black Hero. In the present, the former Empire of Acadia became known as Adismata, and while the empires slept peacefully, our Lux was up doing side quests. As a result of this, he landed straight inside the Snow Bunny heaven. Now on top of Lisha, who is bare as a baboon's bottom, Lux realizes his USB is aching to be connected to Lisha's USB port. He's however pulled away from his disgusting thoughts when Lisha angrily asks him,
"What are you doing, step bro?"
Unable to conjure up a decent explanation, Lux tells Lisha she is as cute as Pokémon's left honker. Unfortunately, Lux doesn't stop there. He tells Lisha that despite her petite figure, she's got a nice pair of twins that can eradicate world hunger. Seeing all the ladies screaming, Lux is sure they all want to climb his Mount Everest, but to his dismay, he finds himself locked in a basement dungeon. In the start, Lux thinks that he became a prisoner because he's got that Drake-sized ween when suddenly Krulsifer walks in, snapping Lux from his delusions. Seeing her, Lux tries to explain that he didn't fall on purpose. In fact, he was on his way to save orphans from burning buildings. But the girl ignores Lux and asks if he's the carrier of the sword devices. When he affirms, Krulsifer tries to inquire about the black sword when Charis walks in and announces that Lux will be taken to the headmaster. On their way out, Tilfar teasingly tells Lux that his walnuts are about to be cracked. Upon arrival, the headmaster addresses Lux as the former prince of the Acadia Kingdom and asks him if it was really just an unfortunate accident. When Lux confirms, Headmaster Rely asks him if he knows where he is, and Lux reveals that he is aware that he is an academy for drag knights. Rely then states that after the coup 5 years ago, the Empire pushed all its efforts into creating more drag knights. However, since there were some flaws in the doctrines that came after the coup, they have only a handful of male drag knights. With that, she asks Lux to become a drag knight. Just as the words leave Rely's mouth, all the girls including Lisha storm inside the office, stating they feel uncomfortable around a boy whose first name is Mo and last name Lester. Knowing there is no winning against a crayon eater, Rely tells Lisha to give Lux a punishment of her choice. Jumping on the opportunity, Lisha orders Lux to fight her so she can decide his fate. The girls cheer over this, fully convinced that Lisha will beat Lux with girl power and hot girl energy. At that moment, Rely reveals that it will not be so easy to win as Lux won the Imperial Capital Tournament and is yet to be defeated by anyone. With that, Rely states that Lux is known as the weakest undefeated. After hearing this, Lisha's hate for Lux grows further, and she tells him and everyone present in the room that if Lux loses, he will be shipped to Himalayas where he must get frostbite and die. However, if he wins, then he can stay at the academy. The girls cheer for Lisha because it turns out she is the princess of the new empire and everyone wants to be her toilet seat. A few hours later, Lux finds himself getting lectured by his sister, Eri, who is also a student at the academy. Lux apologizes and then asks Eri's roommate, Nokuto, why she is standing like someone just asked her English or Spanish. Nokuto then blankly reveals that she has heard he can lift up her skirt with one breath, and she fully intends to protect her chastity for the fat passport bro. Exhausted by all the allegations, Lux states that it was just a mistake when Eri sadly tells Lux that if he gets jailed, she wouldn't be able to pay the debt. Turns out, after the royal family of Acadia was thrown out, the members of the royal family were hailed as criminals, and the only way for them to keep their heads intact was to pay a hefty amount of money. Therefore, Lux began working as the citizens' handyman to pay off their debt. Eri pressures her brother to win against Lisha, who is currently the undefeated drag knight of their academy. So when the special day finally arrives, Lux finds the arena filled with excitement. Before he can worry about looking like a goober, he's met by Lisha, who asks him if he knows why she challenged him. Lux asks if it's because he's the prince of the former empire, only for Lisha to smirk and state that she will reveal her reasons once the duel is over. With that, both Lux and Lisha unleash their drag rides. However, seeing Lisha's drag ride, Lux becomes apprehensive since Lisha possesses a rare ancient drag ride with the abilities surpassing an average drag ride. As Lisha drag ride named Tiamat unleashes a barrage of attacks against Lux's wyvern, Eri becomes concerned for her brother. However, on the battlefield, Lux tells Lisha that if their match ends in a tie, then he would like them to come to an agreement. This ticks off Lisha, who 100% believes she is capable of beating Lux. Using her anger, Lisha unleashes a powerful attack on Lux, who despite everything, refuses to fight back. Instead, he deflates Lisha's attacks, pissing her off furthermore. Just when she is about to unleash an overpowering move, her Tiamat stops functioning. Lux warns Lisha to get out of her drag ride, but Lisha refuses to cave when suddenly the barrier around the arena disappears and an abyss of a gargoyle type arrives. Surprised and confused to see the monster on the academy premise, the young drag knights become scared until they are told to seek shelter by the rescue team known as the Triads. Meanwhile, Lux engages in a fight with the Abyss, which makes Krulsifer and Tilfar worry as the dragon ride Lux has is a very generic type and incapable of battling an Abyss. Meanwhile, Lisha oversees the fight and recalls how Lux told her to open fire at the Abyss with his signal. Fortunately, everything goes according to plan and Lux manages to take down the Abyss. However, in doing so, his wyvern is completely shattered. Later that day, Lisha relaxes in her bath when she thinks about how Lux put his life in jeopardy to protect her, something that no one has ever done for her. After getting dressed, Lisha visits Lux in the infirmary where they have a heart-to-heart. Lisha pulls down her peach protectors and shows Lux her tramp stamp, which he recognizes as the crest of the former empire. When Lux asks why she has this, Lisha reveals that she will slowly let him in her chamber of secrets. Upon scoring Lisha, Lux promises her that he will keep her tramp stamp a secret. Now relieved, Lisha smiles at Lux, hinting at a possible friendship between the two. The next day, Lux dies of embarrassment as his new homeroom teacher introduces him to a class filled with girls. Feeling like a goat around a pack of wolves, Lux prays to the Lord Almighty to protect his life like he has protected his virginity. On the way to finding a seat, Lux comes upon a girl that looks like Sakura made by a 40-year-old lonely Discord mod. He recognizes this girl as Filthy and shockingly exclaims that he hasn't seen her for 7 years. When the homeroom teacher asks if they know each other, Lux reveals Filthy is his childhood friend. Meanwhile, knowing male-female friendships are a scam, Lisha grows worried that her PP appointment will always be unavailable because of Filthy. As the class resumes, Lux asks Filthy to share her textbook with him, but the girl refuses and states that she only answers when someone calls her beautiful goodness with a huge dump truck. When Lux looks at her shocked, Filthy sighs and says she'll settle for Phi. Lux agrees and nervously calls her Phi, causing her to finally cave. Later that day, Lux finds himself surrounded by hormonal girls who are eager to know how many donuts he can stack on it. Tilfar arrives and announces to the girls they can write down their questions for Lux on a piece of paper, causing Lux to realize that this is what it means to suffer from success. All of a sudden, Lisha arrives looking like she had been playing downstairs disco with her kitty. When Lux asks her what's the matter, Lisha shyly tells him that she wants him to be her personal assistant, shocking everyone. Lux becomes nervous, causing Phi to intervene, who tells Lisha that Lux is uncomfortable with her request. Since Phi is so determined to police her, Leisha hands her a Krispy Kreme as a bribe.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
A confrontation is about to occur when Krulsifer inserts herself and tells Leisha that the headmaster has requested an audience with Lux. As they step outside, Lux thanks Krulsifer for saving him from Leisha. However, Miss Elsa here coldly asks Lux if he knows the Black Hero. When Lux remains silent, Krulsifer states that his special task is to find the Black Hero so she can settle an old score. In a dream, Lux sees a cloaked figure who tells him that assassinating everyone is the solution. However, Lux urges this cloaked figure, who turns out to be his brother Fugil, that he can't just pull an Itachi Uchiha on everyone. Fugil just smiles in response, and moments later, Lux stirs awake and finds his hand clutching the best stress balls God has created for mankind. However, when he hears a voice coming out of his stress balls, Lux jumps out of the bed and finds Fi dressed like a desperate housewife who is about to make a mailman very lucky. Fi casually reveals to Lux that they are roommates. Hearing this, Lux tells Fi that if they sleep together every day, he is going to be known as the Academy's diddler, when suddenly, Tilfer walks in and immediately walks out, thinking Lux and Fi are about to launch a series called Breaking Bad. Later, Eri scolds him for causing yet another disturbance. Lux tries to defend himself, explaining that R'lyeh, who is also Filthy's older sister, gave him permission to share the room with Filthy since there were no other rooms available. After warning him to be more careful, Eri leaves and Lux decides to tend to his business. Arriving at the spot, Lux finds Leisha sleeping on the floor. She wakes up and casually reveals that she is, in fact, the Eitlier's chief responsible for maintaining Drag Knight suits. She gives him a rundown of the work she has done on his wyvern before informing Lux that he is now an official member of the Academy's Knight Squadron, which consists of only the best cadets. Then, with a firm request for him to give his all to the cause, she hands Lux his sword before dragging him out to the marketplace to build a strong partnership. Arriving at the restaurant, Leisha realizes she has forgotten her wallet. Before she can tell Lux that she would be willing to pay him with his body, the noob decides to buy Leisha some peasant food. Midway through, she mentions a strange feeling in her heart, so Lux takes her to the clock tower for some fresh air. He compliments her skills in fixing drag suits and confidently states that she will make a great queen someday. However, this triggers something in Leisha, and she coldly asks Lux what it means to be a great queen. Leisha then reminds him of the Akkadian crest on her body and reveals that the old empire once captured her, holding her as a hostage against her father. But her father never came to save her. She was branded, forced to accept life as a prisoner of Akkadia, and, after her father's death, became the last surviving member of the Adismata family, and was eventually crowned as a princess despite having obvious daddy issues. After returning back, Lux drifts off to sleep and is once again haunted by his past. This time, he finds his younger self asking Fugil why he ruined everything. Fugil smiles, only telling Lux that he is a weakling, and all of this happened because he was weak. The next morning, Leisha and the squadron receive a briefing on another Abyss sighting. Before taking off with the others, she tells Lux to stay safe. Krulsifer later explains that he must wait for his official enrollment before joining any missions, then leaves. Left with his thoughts, Lux confides in Eri about his growing suspicions regarding the sudden increase in Abyss sightings. Meanwhile, Leisha and the squadron move into position, ready to eliminate the Abyss. But just before they can strike, they hear the same eerie whistle from the day of the duel. In an instant, the Abyss explodes, releasing dozens of gargoyles. Among them, Leisha spots a soldier and asks if he is from the royal capital. But the soldier named Barth smirks, revealing that he has returned to his true purpose as the squadron commander for the former empire. Without hesitation, he orders the gargoyles to attack. Back at the academy, Nokuto rushes back to warn the others. Eri desperately tries to stop Lux from going, arguing that his suit is not powerful enough for such a battle. But he reassures her that he will be careful before heading off to suit up. By the time he arrives, Leisha has already unleashed her gravity skill, decimating most of the gargoyles. Sheris suggests retreating to call for reinforcements, but Leisha insists on destroying Barth's flute to prevent him from controlling the creatures. However, Barth laughs in her face, calling her a naive fool for thinking she stands a chance. Without missing a beat, she fires back, asking why he is trying so hard to look like a colorblind pimp. Enraged, Barth sends more gargoyles to keep her distracted before slamming her into the ground. Lux charges in to save her, but she tells him not to worry, admitting that she has failed to become the princess everyone expected her to be. As if to prove her point, Barth forcefully rips her uniform open, exposing the crest on her body, and claims responsibility for branding her. Though she attempts to fight him off, she is too weak to do much beyond landing a single cut. More bloodthirsty than ever, Barth moves in to finish her off only for Lux to catch his blade at the last moment. With steady resolve, he tells Leisha not to give up hope. Recognizing Lux's strength, Barth slashes off the arm of his suit before stepping back, trying to figure out his identity. Lux unsheathes the dark sword and, in an instant, summons the Black Divine drag ride, Bahamut. With his amplified power, Lux tears through the rebel army, obliterating Barth's forces. As the battle unfolds, Barth finally recognizes Lux as the 7th Prince of Acadia and demands to know why he is fighting against his own people. But before he can react, Lux flashes forward, cutting through Barth in an instant. Meanwhile, Eri, who had been overseeing the fight, finally reveals that Lux, the weakest undefeated, is none other than the Black Hero. A few days later, Eri surprises Lux with a party to celebrate his enlistment in the Knight's Squadron, where the girls take turns congratulating him. Fi tries to feed him a sandwich, but ends up in a contest with Leisha on whose Badonkers Donkins have a better jiggle physics. In the end, Relai is forced to step in and break it up before raising a toast to get the celebration going. After plenty of food and drinks, Relai pulls Lux aside and introduces a special competition. The challenge, a request form that grants the holder complete control over Lux for an entire week. However, there's a loophole if he can evade all the girls for 1 hour. He walks away scot-free. Before he even has time to react, a mob of girls comes charging toward him, all desperate to know if skinny boys really do be packing down there. Thinking fast, Lux dashes to the workshop, where he finds Leisha hard at work. She offers to let him hide and tries to ask him about the abilities of his Bahamut. Lux starts feeling uncomfortable when suddenly, one of the suits grabs him. At that moment, Lux realizes that from day one, Leisha had only been interested in his Coctopus Prime. However, now that he has been played like a fiddle, Lux pretends to surrender and hands over the form, only to take off running the second Leisha lets her guard down. Next, he tries hiding in the bushes, only for Filthy to sneak up behind him and use her martial arts to lock him in place. The request form slips right out of his grasp, but just as she reaches for it, Lux manages to snatch it back and escape yet again. With time ticking down, he finds an empty room and glances at the clock to see he has 10 minutes left. Just as he starts to relax, the sound of voices sends him scrambling for cover. That's when it dawns on Lux he has fumbled once more, as it turns out he is hiding in the girls' changing room. Frozen in place, Lux overhears the conversation where one of the girls asks the rest of the group if they truly believe Lux isn't a peeping Tom. Nokudo, along with Tilfer and Sheris, confidently assert that Lux is too much of a hey sister to be interested in them. Just when Lux thinks his fruity act will get him an invitation to the girls' sleepover, Krulsifer walks in and discovers him. At that moment, Lux appeals to all the gods from different religions to save him. And what do you know? Krulsifer decides to keep her mouth shut, shocking Lux. Furthermore, Krulsifer tells her girlfriends to go to the training without her. Once she is all dressed up, she tells Lux that the coast is clear and he can come out now. As Lux breathes a sigh of relief, Krulsifer warns him to be careful around here. With that, Krulsifer assures Lux that he won the contest as the time is up. Just when Lux is about to celebrate, Krulsifer asks Lux to show her the form, which he easily gives to her. Suddenly, the bell rings and Lux realizes the challenge hadn't ended before. With a small, satisfied smile, Krulsifer reveals that she moved the clock's hand to deceive him. Before he can even react to the betrayal, she leans in and calmly states that her Grand Canyon has become rather duty, so she needs him to be her boyfriend. That night, Lux confides in Eri about the situation before they step into a private room where R'lyeh is waiting, ready to show them the flute Barth used to command the gargoyles. R'lyeh informs them that the flute is still under investigation and asks Lux to conduct some research to determine if it serves as a key to something significant. Moments later, Eri warns him to be cautious around Krulsifer, suspecting that she might be keeping her true intentions hidden. The next day, at the dining hall, Krulsifer opens up about the political struggles tied to her status as the daughter of a count. She explains that she is expected to marry into another influential royal family, a fate she has no intention of accepting. To avoid it, she plans to use her fake relationship with Lux as an escape. Seizing the opportunity to stir jealousy among the other girls, she leans in for a side kiss and pointedly reminds Lux that if he refuses to obey her, she will have no problem telling everyone about his little visit to the dressing room. Later that night, Krulsifer finishes explaining her scheme just as Lisha enters with the others, bombarding them with questions. When Filthy tries to sleep on Lux, it reignites Lisha's insecurities, prompting Krulsifer to attempt an escape before the drama escalates. However, Lisha stops her, smugly announcing that she has held hands with Lux and assuming it will make Krulsifer jealous. Instead, Krulsifer raises an eyebrow and turns to Tilfer, asking if someone pooped in Lisha's gene pool. As the conversation shifts, Filthy casually tries to mention that she once kissed Lux, but he swiftly clamps a hand over her mouth to prevent Lisha from spiraling into a meltdown. The next morning, Lux waits for Krulsifer, only for her to completely short-circuit his brain with her beauty before linking arms with him and leading him off for their first date. Meanwhile, Lisha and Filthy lurk in the shadows, quietly tailing them. Krulsifer takes Lux shopping for suits, and the moment he removes his shirt, Lisha goes mad with rage. After spending the rest of the day strolling through the city, the two head toward a restaurant, making small talk along the way until Lux suddenly senses danger. Reacting on instinct, he shoves Krulsifer aside just as they get ambushed by rebel army soldiers. Krulsifer quickly instructs him to keep them occupied while she activates her drag ride. Drawing his sword, Lux engages the rebels, swiftly knocking down two opponents before a drag knight attempts to take him out. However, Krulsifer steps in, using her drag ride's predictive abilities to eliminate the remaining attackers. At that moment, Lisha and Filthy come out of hiding, clumsily attempting to cover up the fact that they had been stalking them. As one of the rebel soldiers makes a break for it, Lux gives chase, but before he can catch him, Alterize intercepts the fleeing soldier. Krulsifer then introduces Alterize as her family's butler. Moments later, at a restaurant, Krulsifer informs Alterize about her relationship with Lux while he frantically tries to keep Lisha from spilling their secrets. Just then, Baltzaride makes a sudden appearance, greeting Krulsifer and smugly announcing that Krulsifer is destined to become his wife. Lisha immediately recognizes him as the son of one of the four great nobles, and Alterize further explains that Krulsifer's engagement to him is set in stone, so nobody can do anything about it. Despite this, Krulsifer remains steadfast in her refusal and boldly declares that she is already with Lux. Baltzaride scoffs, dismissing Lux as too fruity to handle a woman like Krulsifer. In response, she warns him not to underestimate the former prince. Amused, Baltzaride challenges Lux to a duel for the right to marry Krulsifer. She counters by suggesting they raise the stakes. Alterize will fight alongside Baltzaride, while she will team up with Lux. Accepting the terms, Baltzaride gives them 3 days to prepare before walking off to make his own arrangements. The next day, Lux yawns in exhaustion when Krulsifer sneaks up on him and thanks him for agreeing to duel with Baltzaride. Lux waves it off and then states how they didn't get enough time to practice, which Krulsifer agrees to and comments on how he never gets angry in any situation. During the discourse, Krulsifer mentions how he isn't even her real boyfriend, which Lisha hears and comes rushing. Upon learning the full truth, Lisha shamelessly celebrates over how Lux is still on the market. Seeing Lisha's ugly face, Krulsifer takes off, while Lux sighs once more and tells Lisha how he doesn't have time for her annoying nonsense. After a while, Lux is out when he meets with Tilfur, who drags him to a room where he finds Fi and Lisha dressed in maid outfits. Upon seeing Lux, Lisha calls him master, prompting Lux to reveal that slavery was abolished long ago, and she doesn't have to do this. Tilfur calls Lux a dork and informs him that since he has had a rough day, Lisha, who despite being royalty will serve him, and Filthy is just there for the average fat citizen who lives in his mom's basement. Lux sighs and realizes that ovulation will make a queen into a beggar. Tilfur also changes into her maid outfit and reveals that he can ask them to take care of him, but Lux informs them that he has never had a maid to take care of him. Hearing this, Tilfur tells Lux that he makes one stupid prince, but he can use this opportunity to enjoy a maid service for free. As Lux turns into an overheated Samsung phone, Lisha asks him if they are bothering him. Lux quickly assures her that he is very happy to see them in maid outfits, causing Lisha to smile. She then tells Lux that if he wants them to do anything indecent, that's cool too. Lux quickly shoots down the idea, assuring Lisha that he is a God-fearing boy. Meanwhile, at the imperial capital, the 4 nobles have been summoned to talk about important matters. Nalf explains that in every ruin, there is a powerful abyss with immense powers. Once they've been suppressed, the Ragnarok Poseidon who had imprisoned them will awaken them again, which can be troublesome for the new empire. After a lot of back and forth, the 4 nobles reach a mutual decision that Baltzaride must explore the ruins to seek out the powerful weapon that can neutralize Ragnarok. Back at the academy, R'lyeh informs the gang that they will be investigating the ruins, and turns out the horn can be a key to explore the ruins further. She turns her attention to Lux and hands him the horn, stating that only a XY chromosome can be trusted with such tasks. Lux thanks R'lyeh for trusting him and then finds Krulsifer eyeing him like he's a rotten banana. After the meeting, Lux enjoys a bath, but thinks about why Krulsifer is joining them in the ruins when she is a transfer student. His peace is then shattered by Filthy and her ginormous chest pillows. Startled, Lux asks Filthy just what the heck she is doing, and Filthy calmly reveals that she's going to turn this bath water into holy water. Just when she's about to pee, sleep overtakes her, causing Lux to shake her awake. As he steadies her, Lux curiously asks Filthy where is her scar, as he recalls she had one on her back. Filthy tells him that she doesn't remember and reminds him to be careful during the ruins investigation, letting him know she won't be joining them. He thanks Filthy for the concern, but ends up losing consciousness as her Kim K figure proves too distracting. The next morning, the group gathers, preparing to depart for the ruins, when Baltzaride suddenly arrives and announces he'll be tagging along. Lisha immediately voices her disapproval and demands an explanation, but the instructor reassures them that Baltzaride won't interfere. He's only there to help and ensure Krulsifer's safety. With little choice, they proceed to the ruins, where Krulsifer wastes no time, soaring toward the structure. The rest quickly follow, but Nokuto suddenly senses an abyss nearby. Before they can react, Diabolos, a monstrous being feared for its ability to destroy entire cities, emerges and lunges at Nokuto. Lux intercepts the attack, straining against the beast's strength until Lisha fires a blast to push it back. They attempt to take it down, but the creature is too fast, dodging every shot and launching relentless counterattacks. Finally, Krulsifer lands a precise strike on its arm, using her prediction ability. Baltzaride smirks, belittling the creature as insignificant before unleashing a sonic blast to send it flying. He then turns to Lux, proposing a deal. If Lux defeats the beast first, he'll call off their upcoming duel. Lisha cuts in, threatening to knock him out for messing with Lux, but Baltzaride dismisses her and keeps pressing Lux to accept. Krulsifer, unimpressed, reminds Baltzaride that his attack only provoked the beast further. Undeterred, he attempts to charm her on the spot, but she shuts him down, telling him she likes her men like she likes her coffee, black. She then charges at the beast, relying on her prediction skill to strike. However, the creature evades all her shots and retaliates with a vicious attack, forcing Lux to push her out of harm's way at the last second. Baltzaride seizes the moment, hurling an axe into the monster's chest before indulging in more self-praise. Meanwhile, Krulsifer notices her abilities aren't functioning properly, but doesn't have time to investigate as the abyss begins radiating immense energy, preparing to explode. As if on cue, the ruins also start glowing ominously. With no other option, Lux shields Krulsifer with his body as blinding light engulfs them all. He drifts into a dream, reliving the moment he created a massive crater while testing a technique with Fugil. When he regains consciousness, he finds himself inside the ruins. Krulsifer, standing nearby, deduces that the abyss's explosion must have dragged them inside. She thanks him for protecting her before suggesting they head to the central altar to regroup with the others. As they move through the ruins, she suddenly falters, nearly collapsing. He urges her to take a moment to recover, but she refuses to stop, determined to move forward. Seeing her resolve, Lux supports her by letting her lean on his shoulder. Upon reaching the altar, they realize they're alone. Krulsifer rushes ahead while Lux takes a moment to experiment with the flute, wondering if it has any effect. Before he can make sense of it, the altar bursts to life with a radiant glow. Krulsifer turns to him, revealing that she doesn't belong to the ordinary world. Confused, he presses for answers, and she explains that she is a survivor of the ruins. With that, she activates a hidden passage. Just as Krulsifer reveals she is not from this world, the walls start to rattle, prompting Lux to grab her hand and escape. While they manage to flee to safety, they realize they are now stuck, which is bad news for Lux as he doesn't know what Krulsifer from Uranus is capable of doing. On that note, Krulsifer crouches down next to a pod and announces that while he was picked from the trash can, the Einfolk family picked her from here. Krulsifer continues by further revealing that her father was exploring the ruins of Ymir when he found her and took her home. From then on, her family used her to understand the ruins and the past, but she had no recollection of her old life. Moreover, her family treated her like lab-grown meat, which prompted her to become the best freaking drag knight they have ever seen so she can earn their love. Unfortunately, this only created more distance between her and her family as she was bestowed a divine drag knight, causing her siblings to gossip about her how she is different from them. Krulsifer admits that the moment she stepped in the ruins and it reacted to her, she realized she was never going to be a part of the Einfolk family, and now she is just curious to know whether she has any allies or family. Seeing her in a miserable spot, Lux tries to tell Krulsifer that they can find another way to reach her true family, but Krulsifer insists that she is done being a coward. With that, Krulsifer apologizes to Lux for dragging him in this mess, causing Lux to assure her that she is his friend and doesn't need to worry. Upon hearing this, Krulsifer says April Fools, and this was all but an updated version of if he would love her if she turned into a worm test. Just when Lux is about to whine, Krulsifer asks him why he is so kind-hearted. Lux states that she's got to be crazy if she thinks he is not going to hit an extraterrestrial cooter. However, before Krulsifer can take away his privileges, Lux quickly reveals his sob story on how he suffered terribly when his family was kicked out of the imperial court because of his grandfather. As he desperately pleaded for someone to save his mother, no one came forward, leaving him with a deep resentment toward humanity until Filthy transformed his heart. Living with her helped him realize that his true anger was directed at the imperial family and their corruption. Since then, he's devoted himself to spreading kindness as an overworked handyman. Krulsifer wants to ask more, but before she can, a drill pierces through the boulder trapping them. Lisha appears, proudly asking if Lux approves of the upgrade she made to her drag ride, then accuses him of getting stuck with Krulsifer so they can play a medieval version of 7 Minutes in Heaven. Later at the academy, Aerie hands Lux a cup of tea and inquires about the altar. He avoids mentioning Krulsifer, only noting that the flute isn't the key. As she offers him the tea, she remarks that it should help him regain strength for his upcoming duel with Baltzaride. By nightfall, Lux is snoring in bed while Aerie gazes at Krulsifer's command form, recalling the deal she made to keep Lux from involving himself in Krulsifer's troubles. At that moment, Baltzaride arrives and activates his drag ride, prepared to battle Krulsifer. Altarise stands ready to assist him, but he drains her strength before clashing swords with Krulsifer. Using her predictive abilities, she lands a hit, but Baltzaride feigns an attack toward Altarise, forcing Krulsifer to defend her. Taking advantage of the diversion, he drains Krulsifer's energy and slams her into the ground. Smirking, he commands her to stand, boasting about his superiority. Krulsifer calls out his bluff, revealing that she knows he sent rebel soldiers to provoke her and joined the ruins investigation to uncover her true nature. Laughing, he admits that he did all this because she holds the key to the ruins and declares that resistance is pointless as her life belongs to him. Before Baltzaride can continue, he senses danger and dodges Lux's sword as the black-clad hero steps into view. Recognizing Lux as the Black Hero, Baltzaride mocks him for meddling, but Lux charges in without any care. As a fierce fight ensues between the two, Lux calmly states that he's figured out that he has the power to drain an opponent's strength and wield it as his own. Amused, Baltzaride acknowledges his speculation, then fires a blast at Krulsifer. Lux shields her, giving Baltzaride the chance to sap his power as well. As Lux begins to weaken, Krulsifer pleads with him to stop before he gets seriously hurt. Aerie, linking minds with Krulsifer, urges her to find a way to help since Lux refuses to back down. Baltzaride then reveals his plan to access the ruins using Krulsifer's abilities while tears well in Krulsifer's eyes as she begs Lux to surrender. But he refuses, vowing to protect her as her beloved. Ignoring Baltzaride's taunts about his weakening strength, Lux activates a special skill and charges forward. Baltzaride raises his barriers, but Lux powers through, shattering the defenses and delivering a sonic slash. The next day, Tilfer escorts Lisha on another mission, while Altarise informs Lux that Krulsifer's family head has approved their engagement. After Altarise departs, Krulsifer sits beside Lux, teasing him for acting shy after his bold declaration of love during the duel. Flustered, he tells her to stop teasing, prompting her to admit that she isn't fully in love with him since he's not exactly her type. Lux forces a laugh to mask his disappointment, but she leans in with a smirk, confessing that she actually likes his assertive side. Before he can react, she kisses him, leaving him stunned. Lisha, who's been spying the whole time, bursts in with eyes wide as saucers, abruptly halting their spit-swapping moment. A shy baddie is seen fleeing the campus when Regri sternly tells her to return to her room as she doesn't want her to wake up one day and realize bears are better than men. Once Regri leaves, the shy baddie becomes frustrated because it turns out that is none other than Lux. Turns out, earlier that day, Charis informs Lux that the campus has gotten a lot stricter because of a pervert who has been looming in the area. She mentions how this is just bad timing since they just learned of Ragnarok's existence in the country. At that moment, Lux thinks about Baltzaride and how, because of him, they don't have someone to fight against Ragnarok. Noticing Lux's face, Charis quickly assures him that none of this is his fault, and what's more, there is another Drag Knight who can fare against a Ragnarok. Charis then asks Lux if he is available to patrol the area with her. When Lux gives her the green light, Nokuto and Tilfar appear suddenly like my morning wood and grab Lux, while Sheris dresses him up as a girl. Now in the present, Lux sighs, realizing the girls were using him as a decoy to suss out the real pervert. His mind then drifts off to Celestia, and he wonders what kind of person she would be. Suddenly, Lux hears a movement in the bushes and goes to the source only to find a deranged girl talking to a cat when suddenly a mysterious man approaches him with malicious intentions. Now alert, the deranged girl instantly protects Lux, who is still in disguise, when the man uses a smoke bomb and throws a knife at Lux. Luckily, it only grazes against his skin while the man flees the scene. Once the coast is clear, the girl takes Lux to the infirmary where she asks him to remove her shirt so she can patch her up. Lux quickly comes up with a lie and asks the girl to tend to his wounds from the back. The girl respects his choice and looks after the wound when Lux decides to bring the cat she was talking to. Blondie becomes defensive and quickly states that she was talking to the cat because the cat had no friends. As it turns out, the girl is none other than Celestia, who reveals it's her job to protect her juniors and advises Lux to be careful at night. The next day at lunch, Lux finds his head filled with the thoughts of the blonde bombshell until Lisha snaps him back to reality, asking if he's tired. Before he can respond, Krulsifer offers Lux her backgate, which ticks off Lisha, who tells Krulsifer to back off while Lux finds himself in the middle of this fight. That night, Baltzaride's mysterious partner visits him. As he boasts about his revenge plans, he kisses his finger and uses it to detonate Baltzaride's insides, leaving Barth frozen with horror. He then plays another flute, summoning a swarm of gargoyles to the prison. The following day, Tilfar drags Lux to the office. There, a crowd of girls watches Lisha and Celestia's heated argument over Lux's right to stay at the academy. Celestia thanks Lux for stopping Barth, but insists he doesn't belong there. Lisha defends him, pointing out that the academy wouldn't even exist without him, but Celestia refuses to acknowledge his strength. Determined, Lux volunteers to help suppress the impending Ragnarok, vowing not to leave until it's defeated. Celestia rejects his offer, claiming she can handle the threat alone. Lux challenges her belief, arguing that her distrust of men doesn't make her strong enough to face the threat solo. Before the argument escalates, Relai proposes settling the matter with a duel at the Night Squadron's Stronghold Island. Lisha warns Celestia that she doesn't stand a chance, but Celestia accepts and wishes Lux luck before leaving. That night, Sania approaches Celestia, thanking her for trying to get Lux expelled. A few days later, the group arrives on the island. Celestia instructs them to prepare for a light training session, though Lisha warns Lux that Celestia's definition of light is far from gentle. After a grueling day of sword swings and sparring, Lisha collapses in the mess room. Later, when Lux returns an outfit Sheris made him wear, she and the others convince him to keep it. Just then, he receives a massage request and panics upon discovering Celestia is the client. Disguising himself with the wig and using a girl's voice, Lux nervously performs the massage. When Celestia rises from the bed, she recognizes him, but, to his surprise, becomes excited and asks if he'll spend time with her after tomorrow's training. Worried about being caught, Lux hesitates, but Celestia misinterprets his pause as disinterest, prompting him to agree. Outside, Sania confronts Lux, suspicious of his disguise, but Krulsifer arrives just in time to vouch for him. After Sania leaves, Krulsifer warns Lux that she's been scheming to get him expelled since day one. That night, Lux wakes to find Filthy standing by his window in a dress that practically screams, "Ready to breed." She climbs onto his bed, offering one of their old hugs, but Lux states that they can't do that anymore since she gets her periods now. Undeterred, Filthy ends up hugging him anyway and promises to challenge Celestia if it means keeping him at the academy. The next day, Lux hopes for a normal outing with Celestia, but she leads him straight to a swimsuit store. Overwhelmed by her childbearing hips, Lux realizes the purpose of life is women, which causes him to bolt outside for air. Moments later, Celestia finds him and apologizes if she made him uncomfortable. Lux reassures her that he enjoys spending time with her. Touched by his kindness, she hugs him, and afterward, they sit beneath a tree to eat. When Lux suggests she relax a bit, Celestia refuses, insisting that maintaining her strength requires constant discipline. Amused, Lux teases her about chatting with stray cats, making her blush instantly. Embarrassed, she admits she's not used to having friends, which is why people assume she hates men. Surprised, Lux asks if that's true, and after a pause, Celestia admits that she actually loves to have foot-long subways in her mouth. At the Imperial capital, the Queen and Nauf learn that their team is unsuccessful in finding the Ragnarok. Their anger quickly turns into fear when the informant reveals that they could only find Ragnarok's empty shell. Meanwhile, Sonia asks Celestia if she is really going to let Lux join them at the pool when they all hate men. Celestia nervously tells the female incel that she actually doesn't hate men. In fact, she wishes she was on the carousel, because that's how much she loves men. However, to appear a dignified young lady, Celestia quickly states that it's just all her favorite teachers were strong men, that's why she loves men so much. The only problem is that she doesn't know how to react around boys her age, as she lacks the experience nor has the time to date around. Later on, Lux arrives at the beach and catches sight of all-you-can-eat buffet. However, since he's playing the long game, Lux pretends to be all shy. Krolsifer buys his act and informs Lux that he can take a snapshot of their bodies for his wank session when suddenly Filthy greets him with her mountains of Mamapalooza. While she is at it, she playfully throws water on Lux, hoping to clean his dirty mind. Noticing Lisha struggling nearby, Lux asks her what's up, and she reveals that the swimsuit doesn't hide her tramp stamp. However, Lux ignores her trouble and instead tells Lisha that he would definitely pay Elon Musk to make a customized robot of her so he can do naughty things to it. Wanting the creep away from her, Lisha tries to hound Lux when Relai arrives with Eri. Wanting to feel young, Relai jiggles her weapons of mass distraction, causing Eri to become envious since her cleavage is clearly playing hide and seek. Celestia and Sonia reluctantly show up, complaining about being forced to swim. Relai questions why they wore such revealing swimsuits if they disliked swimming. Celestia claims she wore hers only because of Luno, who is actually Lux in disguise, and starts searching for her. Sheris, Tilfer, and Nokuto corner Lux, urging him to dress as Luno to keep Celestia happy, but Lux refuses and flees the scene only to bump into Celestia, who gives him a cold shoulder. However, Lux looks at Celestia with sad puppy dog eyes, recalling how Celestia confided to him as Luno that his grandfather trained her and that she feels responsible for his death, which is why she wants to protect Lux by keeping him out of the academy. The next day, at the island arena, Regri announces the duel rules before Lux and Celestia activate their drag rides. Nokuto wonders why Lux isn't using his Black Divine drag ride, and Eri explains he's hiding its true power. As the duel starts, Sheris and Tilfer capture a masked stalker who turns out to be none other than Sonia, who has been working as a spy for a foreign republic. Drawing her sword, Sonia vows to send them to the afterlife. Just then, a flute echoes, activating Sania's drag ride as she charges. At the arena, Celestia hurls a lightning blast at Lux, but he counters with recoiled burst. She teleports, charging her cannon, but giant tentacles burst from the ground. Lisha orders an evacuation as Eri searches for Filthy, who stumbles into Relai's arms. During the commotion, Celestia suffers from the onslaught, causing Lux to check up on her. He then reveals that what they are battling is none other than Ragnarok, who is about to complete his resurrection. Enraged, Celestia tries to engage the monster in a fight when Sonia appears, warning the fight isn't over. Meanwhile, on the ground, the cloaked man plays the flute again, and Lux realizes that it's none other than his brother, Fugil. As Ragnarok becomes more vicious, Sonia attacks Celestia, but Lux blocks her strike. Sania then calls him foolish for defending someone who betrayed his grandfather. With that, she uses the smoke from Ragnarok's attack to blast them both away. Lux wakes Celestia, who tearfully confesses she exposed the former empire's corruption to his grandfather, and when he tried to stop the corrupted nobles, he was arrested and their family's exile. Expecting Lux's hatred, she's stunned when he reveals himself as Luno and activates his black drag ride. Charging at Ragnarok, Lux fends off Sania's interference, tearing part of her suit. Ignoring Sania's warnings of Ragnarok's invincibility, Lux accelerates, slicing through the beast's defenses at supersonic speed. Meanwhile, Celestia confronts Sania, ordering her to surrender or face lethal force. Sania dares her to take the shot, but Celestia hesitates, allowing Sania to flee just before Lux shatters Ragnarok's head. Assuming victory, Lux pauses until the hooded man warns he missed the core. Sania extracts it from the corpse and picks up the man. Lux confronts the hooded figure, who finally removes the hood, causing Lux to realize that it's not his brother, but a woman who introduces herself as Hayes and promises to recreate the nightmare from 5 years ago. Afterward, Lux patches up Celestia. She forgives his disguise in exchange for his help improving her flirting skills with men and pledges to support his place in the academy. Later, Lux tries to remember what happened 5 years ago and finds only dark memories at the back of his head. Suddenly, the island trembles as a massive ruin emerges from the ocean. Watching in shock, the group listens as Rely gathers everyone and states that it's time to get kickin'. 9 years ago in the Imperial capital, Fugil smashes an important statue, and Barth quickly suggests blaming one of the girls to dodge punishment. Later, Filthy stands in an office, prepared to take the fall, but Lux steps in, ready to shoulder the blame himself. As he leaves, Filthy stops him, stuffs a biscuit into his mouth with, and introduces herself, sparking their friendship. Now, a day after the ruin's appearance, Lux checks on Filthy, who decides to join the investigation. Leisha calls Lux aside, showing him a new override program for his drag ride that removes its limiter, though she warns it could send him to an early grave if he uses it too frequently. At the ruins, the group gathers as Rely announces Eri will assist in the investigation. As they arrive on the second floor, Eri detects faint plant life and activity despite the sealed environment. After Nokuto's scan shows no abyss creatures, Rely splits the group. Celestia hopes to partner with Lux, but Eri assigns her to the third floor alone, murdering all her chances of having Lux's foot-long subway. However, Lux offers to let her join his group briefly, restoring her hopes. As they proceed, Eri warns Lux not to flirt with Nokuto. Nokuto scoffs, noting Lux has never even glanced her way, prompting him to toss her a quick compliment to lift her spirits. Suddenly, Nokuto's radar pings, and Lux moves the rubble aside to find a girl asleep beneath it. Krulsifer arrives as they inspect the girl. Concerned she might be dangerous, Krulsifer sends Nokuto and Eri away. When she touches the girl's face, the stranger wakes briefly, mumbles something and falls back asleep. As Krulsifer tries to speak to her again, the girl calls her administrator, confusing Krulsifer, who asks her what she is. Introducing herself as Kurash, an automaton supervising the ruins, she explains her memory is wiped and begs Krulsifer to not abandon her. Krulsifer assures her that she won't be doing anything like that, causing Kurash to breathe a sigh of relief. Kurash then states that she recognizes Krulsifer as an administrator linked to the ruins database and offers to activate its remaining functions. The others rejoin, chatting with Kurash as Krulsifer quietly voices her unease to Lux about how Karush told her there is a mysterious creator who holds supreme authority over her. Eri then directs Lux's group to the 7th floor. But before proceeding, Lux finds Filthy in a terrible state and offers to carry her to help her conserve energy. Meanwhile, the Queen and the nobles in the royal capital strategize against Barth's rebel army, struggling with limited drag knights. At the ruins, Nokuto and Rely discover capsules containing abyss creatures. Filthy stiffens as a chilling sensation scrambles her mind. In another part of the ruin, Hayes calls upon the Abyss using the flute. Lux rushes to defend Tilfer from a Diabolos-class Abyss, losing part of his drag suit in the process. On another part of the ruin, Kirush tweaks out, prompting Krulsifer to warn Lux that 3 Guardian Abyss usually awaken in emergencies like this. Despite Lux's suggestion to abort the mission, Relai insists they press on, as the Abyss are already loose. Seeing Lux and Relai fight like a divorced couple, Filthy activates her drag ride and races ahead, causing Lux to chase after her. After catching up with Filthy, Lux and her stumble upon an altar that teleports them outside. The Abyss charges Lux, but Filthy restrains it with her tentacles, slamming it into the ground. Lux blasts the creature with his recoil burst skill until it explodes. All of a sudden, old memories flood back in Lux's mind, dating to 5 years ago when this church hosted human experiments. Yet, seeing the mental images of Filthy in the same place confuses Lux. Upon venturing further down, Lux finds Filthy, but as he approaches, her expression twists. She whispers about another abyss and, before he can react, her hands tighten around his throat as something dark takes hold of her. Back in the past, as Filthy and her family were about to leave the Imperial Court, Lux promised Filthy he would make the Empire safe for her. Completely rizzed, Filthy kisses Lux for some luck. Fortunately, that memory snaps her out of mind control, causing her to collapse while Lux catches his breath and realizes choking is never going to be kinky for him. At that moment, Hayes arrives, amused by the scene. Meanwhile, in the ruins, Krulsifer and Lisha defeat an abyss, but sense something is off due to the ease of their victory. Eri contacts them, reporting that they're close to the ruins' depths, but Sharis reveals that Kirush mentions needing a key for entry. On the other hand, facing Hayes, Lux demands answers. She reveals that a Ragnarok seed inside Filthy is controlling her, draining her life force and compelling her to defeat Lux. Despite its power, Filthy has resisted longer than expected, which is what caused her to have all these headaches. Later that night, Lux watches over Filthy, haunted by the deal he made with Hayes, 2 days of freedom from the seed's control in exchange for forcing Krulsifer to unlock the ruins. When Filthy wakes up hungry, he feeds her but steps outside upon seeing traces of the Ragnarok in her eyes. Outside, Relai approaches, reminding Lux of their encounter 5 years ago at the church, where Filthy was subjected to the Akkadian Empire's experiments. Though Lux tried to save her, the seed took hold of Filthy, turning her into an abyss every day. Relai further reveals that the investigation into the island was her attempt to find a cure, as she believes she can save her sister by the ruins' power. Later, Lux reflects on the time Filthy comforted him after his mother's death, until Lisha interrupts with news about installing the risky over-limit skill on his drag ride. Eri questions the necessity of the upgrade, but their conversation is cut short by Fugil's voice over the comms. He explains that breaking the flute and defeating the Ragnarok are the keys to freeing Filthy. Later that day, Lux finds Filthy by her window. Aware of her situation, she urges him not to worry, believing he has enough friends to be happy without her. Lux hugs her tightly, promising to save her because she is her world. Filthy then tells Lux that by the end of the recap, he will have 10 more worlds. The next day, the group reaches the ruins, where Lisha threatens to bust the door FBI style, when Kirush refuses to tell her who or what the key is. Seeing the commotion, Krulsifer uses her administrator access to unlock the door and leads the team inside. Suddenly, Kirush regains her memories, revealing her mission is to punish them for betraying her master. Right at that moment, Hayes appears, using the flute to unleash Filthy against them. As they activate their drag rides to defend themselves, Kirush summons unmanned suits to divide their focus. Filthy swiftly overpowers Celestia, counters Lisha's abilities, and slams her and Krulsifer together with her whips. Seeing her students get overwhelmed, Relai warns them of Filthy's unique powers, while Eri decides to use the flute to her advantage. Just as Poop is about to hit the fan, Fugil arrives to watch the chaos. Aerie suddenly plays the second flute, overriding Hayes' control over Filthy. When Hayes tries to retaliate, Filthy stops her, and the team believes they've won until Hayes uses her flute to summon the Ragnarok. The girls unleash a barrage of attacks on the creature, but their advantage is short-lived as Hayes laughs, revealing that the creature grows stronger with every hit it takes. Determined to stop it, Lux calls out to Lisha, urging her to grant him control of Overlimit. Though hesitant, she begins the transfer while Lux holds the creature off, but its relentless assault starts to overwhelm him. At that moment, Fugil's taunting words echo in Lux's mind, reminding him of the weakling he once was. Gritting his teeth, Lux refuses to surrender. When Lisha finally gives him the signal, Filthy's voice cuts through the chaos, urging him to fight for his own dreams. Her words ignite a fire within Lux, and with a burst of strength, he breaks free and activates Overlimit, unleashing Bahamut's full power. Moving with unmatched speed and strength, Lux tears through the Ragnarok as if he was your mom's underwear. Hayes stares in disbelief upon losing, but Fugil steps beside her, coldly stating that if a strengthened Ragnarok couldn't defeat Lux, the battle is already lost. Later that evening, Filthy visits Lux in his room, smiling softly as she reveals she can now resist the whistle's control. Her eyes shine with gratitude as she thanks him for keeping his promise. Stepping closer, she whispers that she loves him. After a couple of days, Lux finds himself in the midst of another party. This time, it's for his quick recovery. However, since he's real tired of these girls who are dead set on dying in each scene, Lux tells them that he doesn't want a party. Unfortunately, in this reverse patriarchy universe, Lux's wishes get ignored. Suddenly, Rely walks in and Lux quickly asks her what happened to the island after their small adventure. Rely casually reveals that she had to pay a hefty fine, so it's water under the bridge. Celestia comes to inquire further about how the Imperial capital forgave them so easily, causing Rely to reveal that since the Atismata Empire will be celebrating their biggest festival, the concerned authorities have decided to turn a blind eye. With that, she raises a glass to the upcoming Foundation Festival, lifting up everyone's spirits but Lisha's spirits, who appears gloomier than ever. That night, the gang gathers together to talk about the Foundation Festival. Lisha tries to talk to Lux but glitches like she has a cockroach up her hoo-ha. In the meantime, Krulsifer promptly asks Lux if he would like to go on a date with her. Just then, Charis announces that actually Celestia and Lux would go out together to deepen their friendship so naturally. Filthy joins the conversation, also asking for a date. At that moment, Lisha realizes Lux's balls would be empty by the time her turn comes, so she angrily states that Lux will only be accompanying her at the festival. As Lux becomes worried, Rely tells him that he can go on a date with the girl who worked the hardest during the training camp. Seeing how the decision is ultimately his, Lux becomes to sweat while Lisha angrily tells him to choose fast. The next day, Lux is seen hanging out with his sister, Aerie, who reveals to him that an all-dragon tournament will be held at the festival where nobles from different countries will participate and the winner will have the rights to survey the ruins. She further informs Lux that he and the other knights will represent the Empire during the festival, but given his recent brush with death, she advises him to keep a low profile. Aerie turns serious as she warns him that the strongest Drag Knight, who is also an assassin for the Akkadian Empire, has escaped, so he best be careful. Soon after, Lux meets up with Celestia while being dressed like a waiter. He curiously asks Charis why they made him wear this god-awful suit, prompting Charis to reveal that since he will be serving Celestia his sausage later on, he better dress for the occasion. Once all has been said and done, Celestia and Lux head to their date, trying different stalls. After Celestia downs one too many shots, they rest by the fountain, where she confides her wish to be loved like him. Lux tries to be humble, but tells Celestia that he is loved by the females because he is a bit fruity. With that, he stands to resume their date when Celestia stumbles, and in the chaos, Lux somehow ends up with a firm grip on her plot devices. With Celestia's time up, the girls whisk Lux away to change into more appropriate attire for his next date. At an exclusive ball for nobles and drag knights, Krulsifer stuns Lux with her elegant dress. Noticing his awkwardness, she offers a quick dance lesson since she knows Lux is as broke and mannerless like you. Afterward, they retreat to the balcony, where they spot Alterize watching from afar. Krulsifer, never missing a chance to tease, suggests they fake a kiss to maintain the illusion of their relationship. As Lux leans in, intending only to act, Krulsifer closes the gap with a real kiss, casually mentioning that she chill like that before leaving Lux stunned and struggling to collect himself. After yet another outfit change, Lux meets up with Filthy, whose outfit consists of her mommy milkers. From the sidelines, Relai cheers for her sister, whilst also spying on the young couple's every move. Unlike the other dates, Filthy leads Lux to a quiet church, where she offers her lap as a pillow, and thanks him for saving her and watching over her during the incident on the island. After a good nap, Lux realizes Filthy is the best because when he lies on her lap, he can only see her double-barrel milk cannons. On his way, Lux encounters Lisha, still fuming that she wasn't chosen for a date. As he attempts to explain, she cuts him off, unwilling to hear any excuse. Instead, she surprises him by asking if he would become her knight, revealing the responsibilities awaiting her after graduation and her need for someone like him by her side. Though touched, Lux hesitates, pointing out that his status as a former prince and criminal might complicate things. Lisha acknowledges the challenge but urges him to consider it, asking for his answer before the festival ends before rushing off. The next day, Eri meets Lux at the clock tower, again expressing her concern about his health and urging him to reconsider entering the tournament. Before she can finish warning him about the assassin blade, a figure appears. As Lux draws his sword, she calmly introduces herself as Yoruka and addresses him as Master. Confused, Lux asks if she's seeking a fight, but Yoruka steps closer, explaining that she wishes to serve him as she once served Acadia's royal family. Her alluring gaze and suggestive words cloud Lux's thoughts until Eri snaps him back to reality. Since Lux never loses, he cancels his chance of losing his virginity by telling Yoruka to go for now and then watches as she departs into the night. He then assures Eri that he'll avoid Yoruka until after the tournament. That evening, Lux's relaxation in the bath is rudely interrupted when Yoruka appears beside him and tells Lux that if he gives her a shot, she will show him why oral support is better than moral support. However, Lux ends up screaming for his mommy, which summons the girls, who burst in to investigate. Hastily wrapping himself in a towel, Lux drags Yoruka outside to talk. She probes him about plans to overthrow the new empire and restore Acadia. When Lux insists that he has no such plan, Yoruka's mind freezes like an android phone. Suddenly, spinning around, Yoruka deflects a surprise attack from Celestia, who arrives with the rest of Girl GC. A battle ensues quickly only for Yoruka the assassin to hijack Filthy's suit and use it to strike at the others. As chaos erupts, Yoruka calls out to Lux, cryptically mentioning a secret plan that will determine the Empire's fate. Before anyone can stop her, she vanishes into the night using a camouflage technique, leaving Lux and the others dumbfounded. On the festival's final day, Lisha practices her speech until Lux arrives and asks what's cooking good looking. Lisha nervously reminds him of her request revolving around him being her knight in shining armor, but also assures Lux that he can take his time deciding. Meanwhile, Hayes stands in a ruin alongside Yoruka, Sania, and a new automaton. After Yoruka leaves to set the plan in motion, Sania questions whether they can trust her. But Hayes assures her that the automaton is basically a stupid doll who does everything she tells her to do. Lux and Eri are summoned to the capital conference room, where the nobles reveal Barth's plan to revive Acadia using the rebel army. With over 100 abyss creatures detected in nearby villages, Nauf orders Lux to act as a decoy, drawing them out while also destroying the flute controlling them. However, Eri protests, deeming it too dangerous. but Nalf offers to drop all charges from the island incident in exchange for Lux's cooperation. Additionally, they demand that Lux win the All-Dragon tournament. In the end, despite Ares' pleas, Lux accepts both tasks. On the way back, Ares questions how Lux intends to succeed with only 12 minutes left in his divine drag ride, but Lux reassures her that he'll devise a plan and apologizes for causing her worry. Later, he approaches Lisha, seeking her mechanical expertise to enhance the regular drag ride and reduce his reliance on Bahamut. After Lisha promises to help, Lux spots Yuruka and chases her to the capital walls, confronting her about her continued loyalty to Acadia despite its destruction. Yuruka reveals her troubled past and how she was ostracized for being able to murder anyone without care. However, her twin brother was different as he was pure-hearted. Unfortunately, they were captured. When Lux hears this, he connects the dots and realizes his father took Yuruka's brother as hostage and made Yuruka work for him in exchange for her twin's life. Yuruka continues with her story, revealing that while her brother died, she wants to still restore Acadia as a symbol of her love for her twin. Despite the sad story, Lux tells Yuruka that he is not Naruto, so he doesn't really care about her sad past. Now annoyed, Yuruka tells him to watch his back. The following day, Rely gathers Lux and the girls for a TED Talk before the tournament kicks off. Celestia, Krulsifer, and Filthy dominate the tournament, which leads the girls to think that victory will be theirs if Lisha and Lux defeat their respective opponents. On that cue, Lisha arrives and asks about Lux's duel. On the battlefield, Lux quickly wraps up the fight since he has places to be. After securing his win, Lux is told by Aerie to rest, but he tells her he's got business to do. That evening, Lisha enters her tag team match, but midway, her drag ride malfunctions and fires into the crowd. Krulsifer halts the chaos with her freeze skill. Unfortunately, Lisa is apprehended as no one believes her. Meanwhile, Lux patrols near a village, spotting light from a cave before Sania ambushes him with a fiery attack. She summons dozens of Abyss using the flute, forcing Lux to lure them toward Bugriser and the soldiers. While they fend off the creatures, Bugriser thanks Lux and orders him to rest. Back at the capital, the girls learn about Lux's mission and Krulsifer suggests focusing on Lisha first, suspecting Yuruka's ability to control drag rides. They decide to find Yuruka and uncover the truth. On the other hand, Lux attempts to rest, but since he is unfortunately a protagonist, he hears a sudden explosion rocks the camp. Running outside, he sees the rebel army attacking Bugriser's forces. Since he had been expecting the attack after the tournament, Lux realizes their true goal is to weaken the Imperial army and leave the capital vulnerable. The girls regroup for their search, but Nokuto delivers news that the tournament is cancelled due to Barth's invasion. Meanwhile, Lux catches up to Barth, accusing him of being used by foreign powers. Unfazed, Barth declares his intention to claim the throne, forgetting that he is ugly Hisoka. Their battle ensues, with Barth's strength keeping Lux on edge. Mid-fight, the ground trembles as a Titan-class monster approaches. Barth reveals it is a manned ruin, leaving Lux with no choice but to activate his Black Divine Drag ride to stand a chance. Lux soars toward the giant warrior, but Barth plays the world's worst traffic cop, blocking his path and buying time until Lux's 12-minute timer runs out. The two trade blows until Barth slices through Lux's suit only to realize it's a knockoff Bahamut. Lux quickly whips out another sword and smacks Barth aside like a fly. As Lux zooms off, Ares' voice crackles through his headset, giving him the rundown on Lisha. Meanwhile, Sania waltzes into Lisha's cell like she owns the place, smugly announcing that the giant warrior is about to turn the kingdom into a pancake unless Lisha surrenders. Lisha refuses, declaring that Lux will fight with her. Sania mocks her, ordering her lackeys to reveal the mark on Lisha's belly so she can remember what a tramp she is. Before they can lay a finger on her, Lux busts in like your mother when you watch Truck Kun's videos. He quickly sends the goons running for their lives. Lisha, guilt-ridden, apologizes for messing up everything, but Lux assures her that her even chest balloons make up for every fumble. With that, Lux holds out a hand which Lisha accepts. Outside, the girls take turns pummeling the giant like it's a pinata that won't break. But Hayes confidently assures them that her warrior is unstoppable. At that moment, Lisha arrives and uses her power to stop the warrior when Hayes mocks her by telling her she is not strong enough to stop her. Just when the doubts creep in, Lux arrives and holds Lisha's hand, assuring her they can do this together. With that, they blast the giant and quickly ask the rest of the gang to pitch in. Inside the warrior, the automaton announces a system failure causing Haste to lose her poop. However, their war is yet to end as the rebel army still lurks within the capital. Lux orders Krulsifer and Filthy to deal with the Abyss and the gargoyles while he and Lisha will focus their attention on the giant warrior. But before they can do that, a surprise blast splits the city in half. Hayes arrives with her divine drag ride, looking like she just got promoted to final boss. Meanwhile, Sonia prowls the city looking for her next hostage until Celestia appears, ready to settle old scores. Back on the battlefield, Lisha squares off against Hayes. The two clash while Lux spots Yuruka waiting for him. She then tells Lux that since he didn't reconsider her officer, she will help Hayes establish a new empire. However, Lux counters by telling Yoruka that her story doesn't make sense because why would one sacrifice their own life for an empire that yeeted their brother? Yorka admits that she tweaked the story a little bit, hoping to win his heart and meaty sausage. However, the part where her brother died in service to the Acadia Kingdom is true, and that's why she wishes to serve the old empire. Hearing this, Lux tells Yorka that she doesn't have to do all that and talks about Lisha, who also suffered a terrible fate, but now parties with Diddy and Leonardo DiCaprio. Yorka ignores everything and initiates a fight. During their heated duel, Lux urges Yorka to abandon her stupid plans for the little girl she once was. However, right when Yorka is distracted, Lux goes offensive mode, causing her to crash. As she lies there, Yorka states that she doesn't understand why he's against the restoration of Acadia, so Lux reveals that he destroyed Acadia because he was sick of the tyrannical rule of the royal family. Suddenly, the giant warrior rumbles to life, ready to turn the city into a barbecue pit. Hayes knocks Lisha aside, stating that it's game over. Of course, Lux catches Lisha, reassuring her that there's still time before his suit powers down. Just as the giant charges its city-blasting laser, Yoruka pulls off a sneak attack, shattering the control orb. The giant powers down like a phone with 1% battery. Furious, Hayes lunges at Lisha, sending her flying like a rag doll. But before Hayes can finish the job, Lux delivers a final smackdown, ending the chaos. That night, Lisha delivers her big speech to a roaring crowd and officially announces Lux as her new knight. At the after-party, Lux thanks Lisha for believing in him until he spots Fugil smirking from the shadows with another black sword. Before Lux can worry, Fugil disappears like a villain who is up to no good. Just when Lisha is about to ask Lux to fill her up like a creamy donut, she finds herself surrounded by a squad of thirsty competitors, including Yuruka, who now wants a piece of the clueless black hero. And just like that, life returns to normal with Lux realizing that to the girls he is like the last slice of pizza. Everyone wants to eat him. Did you like this crackhead story? If you do, comment Filthy's bonkers are great. And if you like more recaps, then watch this video here.